Her feet stop moving before her brain catches up. Nadia Cole is standing in her best friend's living room, a place she has been dozens of times, a place that has always felt as safe as her own home, and she cannot breathe, cannot speak, cannot do anything except stare at the wall directly across from her, where a large, framed wedding photograph hangs between two white shelves. The groom in the photo is smiling, broad-shouldered, handsome, dressed in a charcoal suit with a white rose pinned to his lapel. She knows that smile. She has kissed that smile good morning for 4 years. Nadia, Priya's voice comes from somewhere behind her. Are you okay? You want some water or? Why? Nadia's voice comes out wrong, too flat, too quiet. Why is my husband's wedding photo in your house? The silence that follows is the loudest thing she has ever heard. If you're new here, subscribe right now. You are not ready for where this goes. 3 days earlier, Nadia Cole was the kind of woman who believed in the life she had built. She was 31, a junior architect at a firm in the city, and she had what she privately thought of as a good life, not perfect but solid. Real. The kind of life that takes work, takes patience, takes two people choosing each other consistently, over and over, in the ordinary and the difficult and the in-between. Daniel was a large part of that. Daniel Cole, her husband of 4 years, with his easy laugh and his habit of leaving cabinet doors open and his absolute certainty about everything, which used to irritate her and now felt like gravity, something she relied on without noticing. He was a contracts manager at a mid-sized logistics firm. He coached a youth soccer team on Saturday mornings. He remembered the names of her colleagues' spouses. He was, in every visible way, a good man. She loved him. That wasn't complicated. That was simply true. They had met through Priya, actually. That was always the funny part of the story, the thing they brought out at dinner parties. Nadia and Priya Mehta had been best friends since their second year of university, the kind of friendship that survives distance, bad breakups, career collapses, and the specific misery of being 25 with no clear plan. Priya had introduced them at her own birthday party, stepped back, and watched it happen. I knew, Priya always said, whenever the story got told. I knew from the minute I saw you two talking. I thought, oh, that's it, they're done for. Daniel would squeeze Nadia's hand when Priya said it. Nadia would shake her head like she was embarrassed, but privately she agreed. It had felt inevitable from the first conversation. The kind of meeting that makes you believe in something, even if you wouldn't call it fate out loud. They got engaged after 2 years, married after 3. Priya was the maid of honor. Nadia had never had reason to doubt any of it. The marriage, the friendship, the foundation of her life, all of it had felt safe, earned. The kind of thing you stop second-guessing because the evidence has been consistent for long enough. But lately, and she hadn't let herself examine this too closely, because she didn't want to be the kind of person who manufactured problems where none existed, things had started to feel slightly off. Daniel had been traveling more. Work trips, he said, for a client acquisition project that had been dragging on for months. He'd be gone 3-4 days at a time. She would text him in the evenings and he'd reply late. Once she'd called and he hadn't answered, and when he called back 2 hours later, there was a background noise she couldn't identify, not a hotel room, not a restaurant. She hadn't asked. She trusted him. That was what you did when you trusted someone. You gave them the benefit of the doubt, and you didn't make every absence into a crime scene. And Priya had been a little quieter than usual, a little distracted. When Nadia called, Priya sometimes took a beat too long to answer, not dramatically, just slightly, just enough to register somewhere below conscious thought. When they met for coffee last month, Priya had checked her phone 3 times in 20 minutes and apologized each time, which wasn't like her. Priya had always been the one who left her phone face down on the table, who gave you her full attention as a point of pride. Nadia had noticed these things the way you notice a small change in the weather, aware of it, recording it, but not yet alarmed, not yet willing to name what it might mean. Then Priya had texted on Wednesday morning, "Come over Saturday. I need your eye on something at the new place. Also just miss you." And Nadia had texted back, obviously yes, I'll bring the good coffee. She had chosen the oat milk lattes because Priya had recently gone dairy-free. She had driven over with music playing, and the windows cracked, and the absolute uncomplicated happiness of a woman going to see her closest friend. She had not thought twice about it. Saturday came with pale autumn sunlight and the smell of someone's fireplace down the street. Nadia drove to Priya's new apartment, a nice building in Lakeview, the kind with a lobby that had real plants, and rode the elevator to the fourth floor with a tray of 2 oat milk lattes and the uncomplicated happiness of a woman going to see her closest friend. Priya opened the door before she could knock. She looked, and Nadia noticed this now. Replaying it in slow motion, she looked relieved. The kind of relief that comes not from pleasure but from something else, something resolved. "You made it," Priya said, and hugged her, and the hug held a half-second too long. "Of course I made it. I said I would." Nadia handed her a coffee and stepped inside. The apartment was beautiful. Warm lighting, clean lines, the faint smell of fresh paint. Priya had always had good taste. They walked through the entryway talking about the kitchen countertops, quartz or marble, the eternal question, and Priya was midway through a sentence about the cabinet hardware when Nadia turned toward the living room. And stopped. Her body understood before her mind did. Some deep, animal part of her processed what she was seeing, registered it as wrong, as dangerous, as a fundamental rupture in the order of things, and simply froze her in place, the way a system crashes when it receives input it cannot process. The photograph was large, framed in dark wood, hung on the wall like a centerpiece, like the room had been arranged around it. A wedding photo. A man and a woman, dressed in formal wedding attire, smiling at the camera with the specific joy of people who believe, in that moment, that everything is exactly as it should be. The man was Daniel Cole. But the woman beside him was not Nadia. Like this video if your stomach just dropped, because we're only just getting started. That Nadia's voice came out in pieces. "That's my husband." "Nadia." "That is Daniel." She turned. Priya was standing 4 feet behind her, and her face was doing something Nadia had never seen it do before. Something that looked like guilt and grief and relief all collapsed into one expression. "Priya, why is there a wedding photo of my husband on your wall?" "It's not." Priya stopped, started again. "Can you sit down, please just?" "I don't want to sit down." Nadia's voice was rising now, but she pulled it back, forced it steady, because if she let it go she wasn't sure she'd get it back. "I want you to tell me what I'm looking at right now." Priya set her coffee down on the kitchen counter. Her hands weren't steady. "Okay," she said quietly. "Okay, but I need you to promise me you'll let me finish before." "Tell me." "Silence, the kind that changes things, the kind you can't take back once it's broken." "That photo," Priya said slowly, "was taken 3 years ago, before you and Daniel got married. Before." She stopped, pressed her lips together. "I was going to tell you. I tried to tell you twice and I didn't, and I know that makes me." 3 years ago. Nadia looked back at the photo. 3 years ago she and Daniel had been together for about a year. She had thought things were serious. She had thought they were building something. "Who is the woman?" Priya was very still. "Priya, who is the woman in that photo with my husband?" "Her name is Camille." A breath. They were married, briefly. It lasted 7 months before she filed for divorce. She paused. "Daniel told her it was over between the two of you before they got together. He told her you and he had separated." The room tilted, just slightly. Like the floor had shifted 1 degree and everything built on top of it, every assumption, every memory, everything she thought she knew had shifted with it. "He told her we were separated," Nadia repeated. "We were never separated. We weren't even, we were still together. We've always been." She stopped. Something cold moved through her. "How do you know this? How do you have that photo? How do you? Her voice broke on the last word, and she hated it, hated that it broke, hated that she was standing in her best friend's living room feeling the floor disappear beneath her. Priya, how long have you known? Priya sat down on the edge of the couch. She looked like a woman who had been holding something heavy for a very long time and had just set it down, and was now dealing with what it felt like to have been carrying it. About a year, she said, maybe 14 months. The air left the room. 14 months, Nadia said. I didn't know what to do. He told me. She stopped again. He told you. The cold in Nadia's chest became something sharper. You talked to Daniel about this. You knew about this for 14 months, and you talked to my husband about it, and you didn't tell me. He came to me. He found out that Camille had contacted me, and Camille contacted you. Why? Why would she? Because she found out about you, Priya said. She found out Daniel had been married to you before he married her. She thought she was the second wife. She didn't know she was. She didn't know about the overlap. Nadia sat down. She didn't decide to. Her legs simply stopped holding her, and she found herself in the armchair across from Priya, her coffee still in her hand, untouched and cooling. There was an overlap. While she and Daniel were married legally, formally, with rings and a ceremony and witnesses, he had found another woman, told that woman they were separated, and married her. She tried to hold that sentence in her mind, and it kept sliding away, refusing to settle because it couldn't be real. It was the kind of thing that happened in stories, not in the life she had built, not in the life she had believed in. Are you still with me? Drop a comment. What would you have done if you were Nadia? Because this next part changes everything. Tell me everything, Nadia said. Her voice was very calm now. The kind of calm that isn't peace, it's the absence of any more room for shock. From the beginning, everything you know. Priya told her. Camille Rousseau had reached out via social media 14 months ago. She'd found Priya through old photos. Priya appeared in several of Nadia's pictures that were still online, tagged by name. Camille was systematic about it. She'd been looking for someone who knew Nadia, someone who could confirm what she'd already half suspected. Her message had been simple. I think my ex-husband was already married when he married me. I think his wife's name is Nadia. I think you know her. Please, I just need to know if it's true. Priya had stared at that message for 3 days before she responded. Then Daniel had called her. He'd somehow found out, some alert on Camille's phone, some instinct, and he'd asked her, voice steady and reasonable, to please not say anything yet. He said he was handling it. He said it was complicated. He said Nadia would be devastated and he needed time to explain it himself, the right way. He had been saying that for 14 months. I kept waiting for him to tell you, Priya said. I gave him deadlines, private ones in my own head. I kept saying if he hasn't told her by this month, I'll tell her myself. And then I'd move the deadline because I was afraid. Afraid of what it would do to your marriage, afraid of what you'd think of me for knowing, afraid of. Her voice broke. I told myself I was protecting you, but I was protecting myself. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Nadia. Nadia looked at her best friend, this woman she'd known for 12 years, who had stood beside her at her own wedding, who had known for over a year that the wedding itself might have been built on a lie, and she felt something vast and unmappable. Not anger, exactly. Not yet. More like the feeling of standing at the edge of something with no visible bottom. She stood up, picked up her phone. What are you doing? Priya asked. Calling my husband. Nadia, maybe wait until. She was already dialing. She put it on speaker and set it on the coffee table between them, and they both watched it ring. He picked up on the third ring. Hey babe, Daniel's voice was easy, relaxed. She could hear traffic behind him. You at Priya's? I am, she said. We're both here. I'm going to ask you something, Daniel, and I need you to tell me the truth. A pause, brief, surgical. Sure, he said. What's up? Who is Camille Rousseau? The traffic continued, a horn somewhere, then silence. Daniel. Where did you hear that name? That's not an answer. Nadia, I can explain. Were you married to another woman while you were married to me? Her voice didn't crack this time. She'd used up the cracks. What was left was just the question, hard and clean and waiting. The pause stretched 4 full seconds. She counted. It wasn't he stopped. It wasn't what it sounds like. Camille and I, it was a mistake. I thought we were over. I thought you and I were. We were never over, Daniel. Something broke open in her chest when she said it. We have never, for a single day of our relationship, been over. You knew that. I was confused. I was Nadia, please, if you just let me come home and explain face to face. Why is her wedding photo on Priya's wall? Another pause. What? She looked at Priya. Priya's eyes were closed. Your wedding photo, Nadia said. The one where you're standing next to another woman in a wedding suit. It's hanging in my best friend's apartment, which tells me she's been holding this secret for someone, and I'm starting to understand for who. Priya, his voice shifted. Priya, you said you'd. Don't. Nadia's voice came out like a door slamming. Do not speak to her right now. This is between you and me. She pulled in a breath. How long? How long what? How long did you think you could keep this from me? Nadia, I love you. That's real. What we have is real. It was a mistake that I've been trying to figure out how to fix. By not telling me, for 4 years. She was shaking now. She could feel it in her hands. You've been married to me for 4 years knowing that there's another marriage on record somewhere, another woman who thinks she was your wife, and you chose every single morning to not tell me. I was scared of losing you. You should have thought of that before. She reached forward and ended the call. The apartment was very quiet. Outside the window, the city moved in ordinary Saturday patterns, entirely unaware. Priya was crying. Silently, her hand over her mouth, watching Nadia with an expression that was asking a question and already knew the answer. Nadia picked up her bag. She put her phone in her pocket. She looked at the wedding photograph on the wall one more time, at Daniel's smile, at the stranger beside him in white, and she memorized it the way you memorize the moment before an accident. For later, when she'd need to understand how she got here. I don't blame you for all of it, she said to Priya. Her voice was steady now in a way that had nothing to do with calm and everything to do with exhaustion. But I needed you. I needed my best friend, and you chose him. She picked up her latte, still in her hand somehow, threw all of it, and set it on Priya's counter. I need some time. She walked to the door. Nadia. Don't, she didn't turn around. I'll call you when I'm ready. I don't know when that is. She stepped into the hallway. The elevator doors opened immediately like they'd been waiting. She stepped inside, and as the doors closed behind her, her reflection looked back at her, a woman she recognized, in a life she no longer did. She pressed the lobby button. Her phone buzzed. A text, unknown number. She almost didn't open it, but something made her, some instinct, some pull she couldn't name. She opened it. The message read, You still don't know the full truth about your marriage, and Daniel knows you're asking questions now. Be careful who you trust next. Nadia stared at the screen. The elevator reached the lobby. The doors opened onto the quiet Sunday street, the ordinary world, the life she'd thought she understood. She stepped out into it. Subscribe now, part 2 is coming, and the truth goes deeper than you think. Comment below, do you think Priya deserves forgiveness? And if this story got to you, you know what to do. Like it, share it, and don't go anywhere.